Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Madeleine Olivia, and today for World Vegan Day I'm going to be talking about my vegan story. So to start my vegan story, I want to go right back to the beginning when I was a kid, my attitude towards animals, all of that, because I think it's really important to sort of get some context with how I went vegan in the future. When I was a kid, I loved animals. I lived on an old farm and we had lots of pets. We had dogs, cats, chickens, ducks at one point, fish at another point. And in general, I just loved animals. I wanted to play with them all the time. And there was a thing called the Royal Cornwall show near where I lived. I'm sure you have similar things maybe in your area. It was a huge, huge market every single year that everyone would go to, and lots of farmers would go there and they'd show all the animals, and you could buy animals and you could see horse shows and, you know, tractors and all of that too. But I used to love that every year because you'd get loads of free samples and you just get to go around and look at all of these cute fluffy animals, look at all the rabbits, look at all the different breeds of chicken, look at all the different cows and sheep, and I just loved it because it was just so much fun. And all of my family loved animals too. Like, we all had this love for animals and we just wanted loads of pets and to run around with them outside all the time. Me and my sister used to ride our bikes with the chickens on the handlebars because they loved it and they'd put their wings out. And yeah, chickens are like the best pets ever. I was obsessed with dolphins and tigers, and I remember learning all about the fact that tigers are endangered and that dolphins, you know, there's lots of bad things going with dolphins, and I used to draw dolphins, and I wanted to be like a marine biologist, and I was obsessed with animals in every way. But I never made the connection between my love for animals and the food I was eating on my plate. I think because my parents had quite a, I don't know, they always were very conscious with the way they ate. There was a period of time, I remember, maybe you do too, in the UK, when it all came out that turkey Twizzlers didn't actually have turkey in them, and lots of families stopped buying processed and frozen foods, because I think before then, at least for my family, my mum, when she bought like chicken nuggets, she just assumed that it was just chicken with breadcrumbs, and people didn't generally know back then that there was lots of preservatives and additives and junk going in them, and it was coming from a really bad place. So people just bought them without knowing, you know, just ignorant basically to it all. And when that all came out in the press, loads of people just stopped buying them, and my mum included, and we really changed the way that we ate at home. And I remember finding that quite difficult because I was a really fussy eater as a kid. I loved all brown foods and I hated any colourful foods. I hated fruits, I hated vegetables. I was made to eat them, but I hated eating them. And I remember hating this switch when my mum started to cook everything from scratch and think that, you know, the days of turkey Twizzlers and chips were over. But my mum started to become a bit more conscious surrounding her food and where it came from. And I think that rubbed off on me. Yeah, and I think that kind of maybe was the beginning of me starting to think about where my food came from, because before that I don't think I ever really thought about it. Fast forward to when I was a teenager, I remember a few of my friends were vegetarians, and I remember having this discussion with them about vegetarianism and understanding that it was the ethical thing and understanding that it was the right thing, but kind of being like, oh, well, I love the taste of meat though, I could never be vegetarian, even though I'd love to. And that was kind of my attitude. I'd have that conversation, they'd be like, oh, but, you know, it's really shit like what they do to animals, and, you know, factory farms are awful and they treat pigs really badly and they treat chickens really badly, but, you know, so, you know, that's why I'm vegetarian. And I'd be like, yeah, no, I get that, I understand that, but we only buy free range, and, you know, I love the taste of meat, so I could never be vegetarian. But deep down I knew that it was the right thing to do, and deep down I think I had that kind of defense up, and I remember feeling hypocritical and getting quite passionate when I was having these discussions and getting quite like angry. And I think that was my guilt kind of coming out. And then moving on to my late teens, I started to experiment with dieting. Lots of young girls do this, unfortunately, and I, for some reason, thought I needed to lose weight, even though I was very skinny. And that was the first time I had a bad relationship with food, I think, and it developed into an eating disorder later on. I do have a whole story, a whole video on that, if you want to watch that. But long story short, I went to university, I ended up binge drinking and binge eating and just developing a really negative relationship with food, and I just sort of started just to eat everything, and I tried to lose weight through fad diets and through calorie restriction and over-exercising, and it just didn't work, and I developed bulimia, and that went on for a long time, and it was a really sad time of my life. Yeah, I have a whole video on that if you want to watch it, but having said that, there is a silver lining, because that is what led me to veganism. So a lot of girls with eating disorders, what will happen is you'll trail the internet trying to find new diets you can try because the one you've just tried didn't work and you've gained the weight back. So after an exhausting few years of binging and purging and trying shitty diets and over-exercising and just having a miserable time, I came across a video of durian riders, I think I literally typed in thigh gap to YouTube, which is very embarrassing, but I did. Or how to get a thigh gap. I was looking for some kind of workout or some kind of diet which we make because I just didn't like my legs, I guess. And I came across a durian rider video that had Freely as the thumbnail, and they were talking about veganism and how a vegan diet you can lose weight and how it's the healthiest diet for you and how you can thrive on it. And I had just never seen two fitness people, because they both looked super fit and super healthy. I'd never seen two people talk that way about food ever. All I had heard was, you know, calorie restriction, having, you know, high protein diets. They were talking about an abundance of fruit and an abundance of potatoes and pasta and cycling outdoors, and they were just talking about it in such a open-minded way. And the way they said it, it really spoke to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, you make so much sense. And I just went down an absolute tunnel that evening of Freely's videos. I obviously found it through my eating disorder, but I then learned about the ethics of veganism, and it opened up my mind to a whole world of things that I knew was going on but had never faced up to. So I was shown the fact that male chicks are ground up because they're not needed in the egg industry because they can't produce eggs. I was shown, you know, horrible footage of pigs being, you know, shoved down these little narrow alleyways to their death, and, you know, chickens just in these crazy farms where they're just completely cooped up and having their beaks cut off. I just couldn't believe it. I could believe it. It's like, I feel like anyone who watches these videos, you'll know what I'm saying, because you always knew that that was going on, but you hadn't faced up to it. Ignorance is bliss. So finally, I was like, right, I need to know about this, because she was so passionate about what she was saying. She was so adamant that eating a vegan diet was the right thing to do, morally and for your body, that I was just like, yeah, you're so right. And that was the first time anyone had spoken to me about that in that way. And I think that was the way I needed to be convinced, because I'm a very stubborn person. And I think before then I was very closed-minded, and now I'm a lot more open-minded to a lot of different things, and my life has changed for the better. But yeah, I just went on a marathon of watching Earthlings, Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy, Vegucated, Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. I went and read loads of science journals about the vegan diet and how much better it is for you, the fact that your body isn't really designed to digest meat and dairy. I watched a lot of nutritionfacts.org, and how meat and dairy is connected to the leading causes of death in the Western world, and the fact that there are so many cultures around the world who are still eating, you know, predominantly vegan diet, and they are thriving and they're slim. And we have this obesity epidemic in the West because of high-fat diets and the saturation of animal products and rich foods. Yeah, I just learned so much in such a short space of time, and I knew that the only thing that I could do was go vegan. So that evening, I didn't watch all of that in one evening, I watched all of that across the next few months. So I woke up the next day, I went into my kitchen, I cleared out everything that wasn't vegan, gave it to my boyfriend, and went shopping. I got loads of fruit, vegetables, potatoes, rice. And for the first time in a seriously long time, I felt like I can eat this food. And I know that sounds so ridiculous, and this is kind of related to what I talk about in my eating disorder story, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but it was the first time ever I felt empowered by someone, by Freely and Durian Rider, to eat. Everyone else had told me, no, don't eat. You know, all these magazines, no, don't eat, stop eating, reduce your calories. You know, you go on MyFitnessPal and it was set it at 1,200 calories a day. It was always about being, you know, having food in moderation, don't eat carbs. And I had been going crazy. I had driven myself mental by trying to do this, and it led to a lot of binging. And I finally felt like, oh my gosh, I can eat the food I wanted. And in the next few years, I definitely I had a lot of problems with my eating disorder, but going vegan on that night was the start of my recovery. And it was the first time that I felt empowered to eat food and enjoy it and try and focus on my health, rather than focus on being skinny as my primary focus. I really cared about my health finally, and I wanted to get better. I think it was October of 2013. It would be 3 years ago. Yeah, it was 2013. And between that period and Christmas, I was vegan, I think 95% of the time. I still had my eating disorder problems, so I still binged out on animal products like chocolate and cheese. It was because I was still dealing with a lot of demons from my eating disorder that I really struggled. And then at Christmas time, because I was also, this is another part of it, I was embarrassed. Veganism, I don't know if I guess it's maybe because I'm more aware of veganism now, but in university, nobody was vegan. I knew nobody who was vegan, let alone vegetarian. And it was just, I was embarrassed to tell people. I was embarrassed to talk about it with my family, especially I think because I had an eating disorder. It was about food. It made me feel very uncomfortable. So I just didn't really tell anyone, and I didn't want everyone to know about it. And I didn't want to cause a problem. So I was vegetarian at Christmas time because I didn't want to make my mum have to like go all out and make me separate food and all of that. So I was vegetarian at Christmas, and then I started in the new year, fresh start as a vegan, and the rest is history. And since then it's made my life so much happier. I feel like my mind has been open to so many wonderful things. I started a YouTube channel to share veganism. I've embarked on so many other things in my life. I've recovered from my eating disorder. I've learned to care for animals and to think about them and consider them as, you know, a part of this world that we need to take care of and not use for our own benefit, which is what we're doing right now. And I've learned to care about something outside of myself and outside of being skinny and outside of being vain. I've dropped so many pre-programmed things that I had been taught by being brainwashed by the media and everyone else in society for my whole life. I feel like veganism has allowed me to drop all those things and to be myself and who I am and think for myself and do what I believe is the right thing to do, and really think about how I as an individual impact on other things, other beings, and how I impact on the world, how my carbon footprint now has been dramatically reduced due to my veganism. I cannot explain to you how much veganism has improved my life in every possible way. I've become a better person in every possible way because of veganism. I know that sounds so dramatic, and maybe if you aren't vegan it's hard for you to relate because I'm talking about veganism and being a vegan, and that's why a lot of people have this stereotype of vegans that they preach about it and it becomes their life. But that's because it's such a huge deal, because when you're living in a world where most people aren't vegan and you go vegan and you understand what's going on with the world, the fact that we're on the brink of absolute disaster with what we're doing to this planet, and the fact that factory farms have got to such a scale that they are destroying the planet and they are killing millions and billions of animals every year, and the fact that, you know, I look around the supermarket at all these processed foods that people are picking up just for short-term enjoyment, and I think about where that's came from. I think about the poor animals that have been treated so badly just so that someone could enjoy a nice snack. It opens your eyes so much, and I highly encourage you to open your eyes too, to learn about veganism and understand that we aren't the only beings living on this planet. There are other beings on this planet that we are pushing towards extinction, and there are other beings on this planet that we are overpopulating so much that they are destroying our planet. So yeah, I just want you to think about that. That was my vegan story. I hope I didn't go on too much. I really tried to make it as short as possible, but I have a feeling I've gone on quite a lot. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the end, I have a challenge for you for World Vegan Day. I would love for you to do a vegan day at some point this week. So either you eat vegan all day, that would be the best thing to do, to eat vegan that whole day, and do some prepping before. Don't just do it on the day, because my boyfriend did that at one point and he failed miserably. Do some preparing, watch some videos. I have lots of recipe videos, and there's so many recipes, and what I eat in a day is on YouTube that you can watch. Or watch one of the documentaries listed in my description. So Cowspiracy, Forks Over Knives, Earthlings. If you aren't vegan, let me know in the comments if you're gonna do it and what you're gonna do, and yeah, I'll be there to help you with any questions you have and give you some advice. Doing one vegan day is something that I think that everyone should do, just to try it out, just to see how it makes them feel, and to spend that day educating yourself and learning about why veganism is important. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.